Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited that you're here. Another week of Awakening Your Personal Best with Nancy Mueller and
Ildiko Skur. Hi, everybody.
oh, we love bringing you these videos every single week because we just love empowering you. Today we're going to talk about performance anxiety. So stay with us.
Yeah.
Right, Ildiko?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a really, really important one today.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So performance anxiety in the workplace, performance anxiety shows up in all areas of our life, but we've been hearing a lot about, women talking about being in the boardroom and don't feeling like they've been heard, or maybe your job review is coming up and you're anxious about that. So it's stress around that. But before we go into this any farther, Ildiko, I'd like you to talk about stress and the vocal cords and, just kind of start it off with that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really interesting. I've just had an experience a week ago where I saw exactly how much the vocal cords can be affected by stress. I had a situation where to do with singing, and people felt very under pressure. And what happened was that they started losing their voices. So it was really interesting to me to see just how much stress can actually affect our vocal cords. And if you are about to go in to give a presentation and you are feeling anxious, then you may very well find that you could be having to swallow a lot, or clear your throat a lot, or your voice might even sound completely different to you than it would normally sound, which can be very disconcerting. So this can also set up an experience where next time round you go, oh God, it was really bad last time, and now I'm really panicking and worrying that it's going to happen again. And it doesn't necessarily just mean about speaking either. You might be singing, or you might be telling a story, or whatever it is,
or an athlete.
Yeah. So stress really does affect our physical bodies, our physical health, but certainly one of the places you can see it most of all is in your voice. Or hear it.
And the thing is like if you choke one time and then the next event is coming up and you think, oh my gosh, and that's all you can concentrate on is how much you didn't like the way you showed up the time before that, and you're bringing that energy with you into this new presentation, and now you've got performance anxiety because you're going down the road of what if.
That's right.
So you're bringing in something, energy, thoughts, feelings, beliefs that don't even need to be there.
No, and the thing that tends to happen is it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely.
That if you think you're going to do badly, you're going to do badly.
Absolutely.
That's a bold, hard truth, but that's the way it works. Yeah.
And it's kind of like that saying, there's no sense worrying because it's not going to change the outcome. And, so we talked about a performance review. Most people that work in a corporate setting, they have a review coming up. Somebody's going to tell them, I think you're doing this, or I think you're not doing this, or you're doing great here, you're not doing great here. And basically that's like another person sitting in front of us and telling us, what they think our strengths are or our weaknesses are.
Yeah.
And so how are we dealing with that? That can also bring up performance anxiety, because then you start to look at how you're working within your job as like, oh my gosh, my review's coming up and I think that they're looking at this, and if I don't do better over here, then I'm going to have a bad review. And before you know it, you're not even concentrating on the job at hand because you're so focused on that review coming up and what's going to happen, that again, you become this self-fulfilling prophecy. And by the time you get to your review, I mean, you can really feel yourself just going down.
Sure. And it's not just in businesses, because if you're in the performance industry, well, you're going to have critics all the time.
Oh yeah.
About everything. So how do you deal with that? Yes, you could develop a very thick skin, but then what comes with that is a load of cynicism, and you don't want that. So It's about getting sorted internally with your own internal feeling of value and worth before you deal with anything outside. Because once you're sorted inside, outside doesn't matter. That's somebody's opinion. It's a big deal. You know,
Absolutely.
you're doing the best that you can, then you know that. And well, what else can be asked of you? Yeah, I think that it must really be a very big impact on those of you out there who are in those kind of industries.
Right, because you have the critics, social media, the paparazzi, just anyone who's standing out there saying you did not do well, or that you are waiting on pins and needles to find out how you did based on what someone else is thinking. Come on, you already know how you did. Either you're really happy with the performance or you're not. There's something that you say, you know what, next time I think I could just shift it a little bit and I could do this. But that's in what you want to do. And you have the power to take it from that energy standpoint to say, okay, I'm standing in my truth. This is how I want to show up in my work. And this is how I'm showing up in my work. And no matter what anyone says, that's their opinion. You have to get focused with you. Where is that strength, that inner strength coming from, that power from way down deep right in here that you're pulling on? And then you don't owe anybody any explanation or anything, because you are in your power.
Well, that's true. But you know, there is actually two beliefs that you would be amazed at, that I have found with many clients when they have an issue about performance. And it comes down to ownership, interestingly.
Right.
So one of the two beliefs is, I believe I own my own opinion. And the number of times I've actually discovered that the person does not believe that they own their own opinion. And so what they do is struggle against this belief all the time, and fail, because people don't listen to them. They don't pay attention to them. We're talking about, being in the boardroom and not being listened to. And at the bottom of it, quite often, this belief is lurking.
Yes.
And the other belief that goes actually more into performance and social situations is, I believe that I own my own space, my physical and energetic space. And when you don't believe that, that's when people don't even notice you. They'll come tramping across you and they won't give you any room to express yourself, because you don't believe you own that space.
Yeah, it's like you're invisible. And then you start to become that self-fulfilling prophecy, because, you're not owning your personal power, your personal space. You're looking for validation or acknowledgement from the outside rather than knowing that it needs to come from the inside
but
first.
if you don't exist energetically, people will sit on top of you, basically.
Yes.
They won't notice you.
Yes.
And that can cause a lot of anger and disappointment, and a lot of striving and wasted energy trying to prove yourself, when ultimately you've got to stop and look at what's going on internally, because other people only ever mirror what you're feeling about yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Awakening Your Personal Best. We're showing them, the energy that they're creating and living in, the belief behind it, and how to snap out of it, how to shift out of it, how to just, let it go.
Yeah, the key. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And think about this too. I mean, if you are asking yourself, do I have performance anxiety? Are people not listening to me in the boardroom or at work? Or look for other areas in your life where that's showing up as well. Because it's not going to just show up at work. It's going to show up at other places, that maybe you feel a little more secure in other places, or a little more powerful. So you're not really acknowledging it to yourself, because remember, this work is about taking 100% responsibility for everything that you've created in your life. So you have to be willing to look at all areas of your life. And if you're out there, maybe you're dating and you're saying, this date didn't go well, or I wasn't sure how I should show up, or I wasn't sure what I should do at the end of the date. that again is performance anxiety, or it could be in a relationship that you've had for years and years and years, because as you start to shift energetically, everything changes.
That's right, it does, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it may very well be a pattern you recognize that goes way back into childhood, that, your mum didn't listen to you. And because your mum didn't listen to you, you don't believe that you're worth listening to.
Absolutely.
And struggle and push against this all the time. But the thing to understand and remember, it's so important, is whatever you believe will be what you perceive.
Yes.
And you cannot fight against the actual beliefs that your unconscious mind holds, because they're the drivers of your behavior. Absolutely. So you're just putting an awful lot of pressure, and it's like, I see it like being on a running machine, that when you're actually on that machine, you are running and putting a lot of effort into staying in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if you start running? You flip off the back.
Yes.
And that's exactly how it is with beliefs. That you've got to, if you want to change yourself and change the way you behave, if you don't fundamentally change the belief, in my case, I say it's got to be changed with energy, because that's a total transformation. Mm-hmm. If you don't change your belief, you will be struggling against it all the time until you flip off the back of that running machine, if you stop for 1 single second, right?
Absolutely. And again, we're going to stress, we have to stop blaming the parents. The parents parented the only way that they knew how. So you got to get off that treadmill as well. It's like, oh, it's all my parents' fault. They didn't love me enough. They didn't this enough. They didn't not enough, or they this too much. Okay. So where are you now? Are you ready to start from where you are right now and move forward? Or do you want to still keep feeding that story about, oh, it's my parents? I mean, it's up to you.
It's disempowering, isn't it? It's totally disempowering to run that story. And who does it serve? It doesn't serve anybody.
Absolutely.
And this comes into an interesting sort of twist on things. And when we're thinking about the mind, I have to say, for me, the mind is no more sophisticated than a 3-year-old child. And in nearly 15 years of working, I've only ever discovered that's the level of sophistication. So, this is me coming from my experience, but your mind can actually be hooked into not letting go of a problem, because you're beating the person you perceived caused the problem over the head with your own problem.
Right.
So you're not going to let go of it, because you don't want them to be happy. You don't want them to go, oh, thank God, she's better or he's better. So you'll hold on tightly to your problem, even though you're saying, oh, I really want to let go of that. I want to be over it. There's a reason you hold on to it.
Something else that's coming up for me, Ildiko, is when you talked about people that are performers, if they have to get into a certain mind space in their role, maybe it's a really dark role, or a really, it's a role where it just totally takes them outside of themselves. That's shifting energy as well. And then they have to be able to come back to who they are. Yeah. And so, it's very important to recognize and understand those shifts, be able to come back to where you are. So there's a lot going on there when someone is performing.
There's a huge amount. And the thing is, also, you have to do it in a safe way.
Yes.
Because if you haven't dealt with your own stuff, then you could very well trigger something by going into a role. And what it reminds me of is there was an English actor, I must have been in the 80s. Do you remember a film called My Left Foot?
Yes.
Right, that was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And he was recording for My Left Foot at the same time as playing Macbeth on stage. And he ended up with a nervous breakdown because he couldn't deal with both of those roles. And the as you say, the darkness, the intensity of both of those very, very difficult roles. So,
and the same way with Heath Ledger, committed suicide after, the role. That was a very dark character. So, it is really important. Yeah. And of course, we're talking about actors who play these roles, but think about it. We all play roles every day in our life. You go to work, maybe you have to show up differently than you would at home. So recognizing the energy that you're in each of these roles is so very important.
Well, it's important, yeah, and to recognize if there are any of your own personal triggers that you need to take care of. Because
Absolutely.
awakening your personal best, one of the big things that we do, the big pluses, is we take care of all of those triggers. They're eliminated so that you can actually step forward in a state of calm and peace and joy rather than being hooked into your past.
And it's about receiving. I mean, when all these people are saying, oh my gosh, you did such a great job, we love you, but you can't step into that and really receive that, that is something that you want to look at as well. So
Most definitely, yeah. So
Ildiko, thank you. I love doing these weekly videos, don't you?
yeah.
I mean, this was such a really powerful message on performance anxiety. And for any of you that want to know more about how awakening your personal best might help you if you are challenged with performance anxiety, just click on the link attached to this video. Or maybe you know someone who is having some performance anxiety. Share this video with them. Let them know that there are answers out there, because we can help.
Oh, we certainly can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And in the meantime, this is Nancy Mueller
And Ildiko Skur.
saying ciao for now.
Bye, everybody.